Actually, the night before we were to start shooting that really enormous crash sequence, David realized something doesn't quite make sense in the position of these cars. And there we were till 2 in the morning. We had highway set up on the floor of his hotel room, little cars, and we're remaneuvering them and positioning there.
The three of us got together along with Tawny, my daughter, and my sister Annie, who's also a stunt coordinator, and we just started sitting with little toy cars and playing.
Another speed test, guys, pay attention.
The most important thing was who had to die in what order, because the sequence initially was more extensive leading up to the crash. There was more interaction between the people in the cars, and what was really tricky was getting people to come up and see each other and interact, yet then also have them fall back and get into position so that when the accident unfolds, this person can die, then this person, then this person, and then this person.
We had about 4.5 miles of highway that was ours. We could do whatever we wanted with it. In this section, we called it the Valley of Death, because that's where all the crashes were being done by second unit. And then on this side of the rise, we had about 200 picture cars that were just constantly going round and round and round. And then we had the camera and the other cars with the actors in it on a tow rig. So we could just sit there and do all the coverage leading up to the actual crash itself.
It's like a patchwork quilt. It all goes together, you know, one piece after the next. And so that's probably the most demanding stunt sequence we have. It is the only stunt, as far as I'm concerned, the only stunt sequence we have. In a span of probably a few minutes on film, there's 8 or 9 car wrecks, a motorcycle wreck, a huge semi-truck wreck. I mean, it's big.
You get maybe 2-3 setups a day, and you get 1, maybe 2 chances at a stunt.
And obviously, again, there was another dilemma of how do you make a truck flip with CG interaction. So obviously they had a system where the truck would be pushed up to flip.
A cannon comes out the bottom of it, which was really cool.
Sort of like a jet-propelled thing that pushes down and lifts the car off and starts it on its spin. That married with the turn just sends it rolling and rolling and rolling.
First time it got over and got up, we got fenders. You took your first hit right on your head. It was awesome, baby.
There is a live person who is driving that. Imagine there's a very small girl who is driving that car. You can't say enough about what the stuntmen do on a day-to-day basis, putting their lives at risk. We heard well over 70 different takes from different writers. Some of them were as crazy as, well, Devon Sawa is now into extreme sports, and he loves to, thwart death and defy death. And we were like, oh my God, we're in a living hell of our own.
I mean, I've sat here and listened to all your theories and all your stories, and I think it's just all bullshit.
The script that I got that they said they wanted to make, it was a fortune teller that they were chasing for the whole movie.
You know what? I think you're all certifiable. I can't believe I've been listening to this crap.
We worked for 4 months kind of trying to figure out the story, and we actually went back to some earlier drafts of the script that they had done, where it was a pregnant woman and that new life would defeat death.
Who the hell are they?
Came up with the concept that death would work backwards and kind of put it all together and came up with what we felt was a better script. It was great to work with my daughter. It was so much fun as a father to be there. We have an incredible relationship that we can actually be with each other every single day, and have fun. And we just looked forward every morning. We got up, got ourselves energized, got each other into the day, and would go just attack at it.
He'd ask me advice about me and my friends, like how we would talk in the car or how we would react to that.
Oh, good one, man. Yeah, you're hilarious. Whatever.
There was a lot of funny dialogue in there that me and my dad had come up with. We just tried to have a lot of fun with it.
Road flares, sunblock, mace.
Condoms, whips, chains.
During shooting, Tawny was there by my side for all of the performances, and I'd turn to her and I'd go, what do you think? And she'd go, yeah, it was good. Or she'd go, dude, let's do one more. Hey, Dad? Yes, sir. Careful, because you're...
He'd actually take my 21-year-old advice and incorporate it just to see if it'd work or not.
She came on as my assistant, and now she's a producing partner with me in our future endeavors.
People are just like, I could never work with my dad, but me and my dad get along very well.
Whips and chains. That's nice. Whatever, your dad's cool. Yeah.
Gary Capo and I go way back. We first met on Baywatch when I was directing some second unit on there, and he was a second unit DP. And then we kind of went our different ways, and I worked with a lot of different DPs, and then we came back together. On our first big film together was Waterworld, and Gary has a great background as a DP. After working with him again on Waterworld, I just decided never to not work with him again. Gary and I have done 9 big second units together, and when I got this opportunity, it was also his first film as a first unit DP. What's great is he's also a really good director, and so we talk about more than just the lighting or the camera movement, but he keeps me really honest with everything that we're doing, and he's just kind of like my secret weapon, a guy that I bring with me on every film that I go.
One of the things we didn't want to do, because as you are at risk with any sequel, running the risk of regurgitation and just sort of replaying the same movie over and over again, is we had Alex Browning and Claire Rivers, you know, Devon Sawa and Ali Larter. Their characters at the end of the movie were sort of in this position where clearly they were the only 2 left, and they were clearly in some sort of a relationship that would force them to sort of fight death back to back, sort of the Old West kind of thing. Now, if we did that and started out exactly that same way in part 2, as we were talking about how do we introduce Ali Larter as a character, how do we introduce Devon Sawa as a character, it didn't feel dramatically interesting.
Because in the end, no one can escape death.
They just felt that if we ended the movie with, you know, these 2 people and then we just pick them up, it's like last week on Final Destination. So we kind of wanted to mix it up and kind of change how we approach this film.
There was one survivor.
The debate was, do we do it to Devon or do we do it to Ali? And really, the truth is, women drive horror movies. It's this sort of a little-known fact that women generally respond to thrillers and horror movies much better than men. And we wanted to create strong female characters, so the decision was made to have Devon Sawa's character, Alex Browning, die off screen before this movie started.
And this is what happened to Alex when I was responsible for him.
The dramatic impact that has on Ali Larter's character is one of the things that made her want to come back to the movie.
Get out. You hurt me or yourself.
It positioned her in such a way that she had a much more potent arc and experience to go through during the journey of Final Destination 2.
Kimberly has a premonition just before it that pigeons, and she sees pigeons all around her in a reflection. They're not really there. We shot green screen pigeons. You know, we diagrammed out our shots and the angles we need the pigeons to fly. We need some to fly off the ground. We need some to fly at camera, away from camera. We shot a background plate of the interior of the house with the doors open. Then we close the doors and we put blacks up behind the windows so we get a nice, real clean reflection. And then we go inside of the house and turn around and we have to shoot Kimberly doing her action so that then we can flop it and put it inside of the reflection and blend all those together. And then the last element we shot was her over her shoulder, just to tie her into her reflection so that you had a little bit, so a little more depth to the shot.
Did you see that?
We needed to do something to show the audience that Tim was going under the effect of the gas. And so we ended up taking the ceiling plate and we made the ceiling much, much bigger so that we could warp it and make it appear that it's going up, 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 up. You know, it was probably 6 feet from his head, and we made it look like it went like 50 feet from his head. And the lights got really bright, and then we did a layer of distortion so that it kind of suggested that his eyes were watering. And then we also kind of made the whole thing twist. So we did all these things off of a one lock plate that by itself wasn't very interesting.
Hello, Claire.
We brought back Tony Todd, who played the mortician in the first film, and sort of like the old man on the mountain who has the information that the young upstarts need, our group goes to visit him to see if they can glean more information about what they're up against.
Come to pick my brain.
Just a simple question and we'll leave you alone with your new friend.
He's just a gentleman who has spent so much time with corpse and elements of the dead that he just thoroughly enjoys what he does.
Dead. Yet still fresh.
Ugh, I'm not looking forward to that scene because it's in a morgue and there's going to be all these dead bodies and ugh. Even though it's fake, but it's still, ugh, gross.
People are always most alive just before they die.
And the nipple ring gets pulled out of, whoa, gross.
Some people say there's a balance to everything. For every life, there's a death. For every death, there is a life. Death comes when you don't expect it. It can be the 88-year-old grandfather or the 10-year-old niece. But when it comes, it has to be done with dignity.
Marker.
Listen, any word on that white van yet? Okay, well, keep checking.
Hey, does anybody have a Valium? Oh, yeah. You're just gonna want to take half of that.
Keep them coming.
If what you're saying is true, that means I'm next.
You're not next, Nora. Nobody has to be next. That's the point. Okay? We need to help each other in order to get through this.
This cannot be happening, see, because my career is at a peak, and I finally met a quality guy. You know how hard that is, and I just bought a house.
So maybe if you shut the fuck up, you'll live.
I just think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Call it what you want. It'll keep your ass
Darling,
alive.
my ass is alive, huh? Has been all day. There's nobody after us but you trying to make us as crazy as you.
One of the most challenging sequences in the movie was shooting cats skewering. It was pouring rain. It was like Thailand in monsoon season. We were up to here in mud, and we had about 7 days worth of work that we had to shoot in about 5 days.
Hey kids, here's what we're gonna do, something so exciting in this scene.
What are we gonna do?
That after ambulance, get an ambulance, we're gonna stay on you guys and just move around a little bit. So just give some love and care to him.
And with the rain and everyone sort of just by nature slowing down because of the horrible weather, we really lost about a day just from people trying to get their act together and sort of make sure that we protect all the gear. It was just awful. It was awful.
Go for it,
really bored with this whole death thing.
The sheer misery of shooting in that stupid, misbegotten field.
I want to do one now where it's just like a little more serious.
If you ever want to watch me seize up and die, just take me back there with a blindfold. Take the blindfold off and I'll die immediately.
Oh, God, Jethro, Jesus Christ!
But I think the sequence works. I think that it's effective. And it is, again, a testimony to the entire crew and to David's vision of what this movie was going into that sequence, that we're able to come out the other side with it intact and working as well as it does.
They were intending that would be a CG pipe, but then, you know, you have to worry about seeing out the window and the environment as they're spinning around. We ended up just shooting an empty truck, which gets smashed into the stack of pipes with the one pipe sticking out further, and then there's breakaway glass and that sort of thing with nobody in it. And then we took the pipe away, put everybody in it, and shot that as a reference, and then it's for lighting and placement. And then we pulled the seats out and made a rolling dolly thing on a green screen stage, and then just had them react. And then we took them off of their element off of the green screen stage and put it in the plate that we shot on location with the pipe going through, and did a little bit of roto. And it was so fast we did it one time, and it all looked just fine.
Throw it in gear, race out, we'll race up with you, okay? Keep the energy up. Instead of cutting into this now,
Yeah.
I want to put it in one shot. I want to see you go over and just shove her out of the way, right?
Action. Isabella Hudson.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give out that information unless you're a relative.
Well, I'm her sister.
Well, I'll have to see some ID, Miss Hudson.
Okay, delivery room 6 upstairs. I'll go find Eugene. I'll catch you guys later.
This is great.
I'm her sister.
That's great. I like that. It's perfect.
So what does it look like when you peek into somebody's head? We had to come up with a look that looked different than the rest of the film, but didn't feel like a different film. The editor, Eric Sears, who's just great and very, very creative, took all of the footage that was shot and created a montage of images.
I would lay out all the premonitions to give them the idea of what emotionally I wanted those premonitions to be like. David and I would then go through them. We would add images or extract images depending on how David felt about how they were playing in regards to where they were in the piece. And then give them to Joe Bauer and Joe Conley, and they would create these incredibly surreal renditions of what it would be like inside of her mind.
No, don't worry. She had the baby.
It's okay.
We would roto around the actress and then do a kind of a very subtle warp distortion on the background, and then we would crash zoom into her eye and then go into this stylized footage. And there's just layers and layers and layers of distortion and color correction, changing footage that was shot at 24 frames, making it look like it was shot at 2 frames a second, then 100 frames a second, anything to throw off the sense of reality and make you feel that you were in like a dream state.
First one had some great stuff. You know, everyone always talks about the bus hit.
I just can't say enough good things about the bus step in the first movie.
Because that came totally unexpected, and I think we have a few of those where people aren't expecting it.
And that was what we were trying to do in this movie, is come up with a bunch of deaths that could somehow be as good as that one.
It was like I was there. I remember everything. The sound of the crash, the smells, the look on Sheena's face.
Do you remember what triggered it all?
Yeah, the lust.
Jesus Christ! The pigeons!
What? Pigeons.
Hey, whoa, get! Come out of there!
A man with hooks is gonna kill you.
What? What is it, Nora? Wait.
Let go!
Wait, no.
Let me help you with
You're gonna die after me, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you take these? And if I die, would you throw down my drugs and my paraphernalia, my porno? Just, you know, anything that's gonna break my mom's heart. Please. Thank you. Trust me, I think I've been through closer calls.
Yeah, me too. You should tell him about the, the news van thing.
What's that?
Well, Brian was almost hit by that news van that day in the field, and your friend Rory, he pulled him back at the last second, saved his life.
You never told me that, Peter. Boy, that was lucky.
And I don't think there is enough humor in the splatter genre.